finish clearing the table. We're going to continue clearing the table. Start our program. We'll be introducing each presenter.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm testing. You all right or not? You hear me? No. Testing. Working before.
The AV guy now. No, I'm not.
It's definitely an AV guy.
Come on, MacGyver.
Okay, all set. All right.
What did I tell you?
Well, you always have to. The way we're going to operate now is that we'll introduce each presenter. Presenter will say something about the inductee and present the plaque. Bob Boyer will take a picture. Presenter will have time to speak, and we'll move along as quickly as we can. At the conclusion of the program, I want all the inductees to remain with their plaques because we want to have a group picture that will go up on the wall in the lobby of Brook. For those of you who have not taken time to look at the wall in the lobby, the Hall of Fame plaques are there, a number of pictures are there involving the Hall of Fame and other wrestling activities, and it's something that we update from time to time, so please take time to look at it. Jim, you want to introduce us first?
Thank you, Frank. I'd just like to say congratulations to all the inductees that are going to be put in the Hall of Fame tonight. And it is my pleasure to introduce Mickey Woodward, who is the longtime coach at Canisteo-Greenwood. Mickey is responsible for putting that program on the map years ago. And Mickey.
Good evening. For those that don't know me, my name is Mickey Woodworth, and I was a lifelong coach, mentor, and friend of inductee Kyle Amidon. I have been coaching wrestling since the late 1980s, from the youth level through varsity. I helped coach Kyle since he was the age of 5 and continued to be his high school varsity wrestling coach in 2006. I retired as a Canisteo-Greenwood varsity coach in 2018 with many memories and accomplishments. Kyle was born on March 6, 1988 to Larry Amidon and Christine Baker, who are both present tonight, along with Kyle's stepmother, Diane Amidon, stepfather, Bob Baker, brother, Greg Amidon, and brother, Brendan Baker, wife, Colleen Amidon, and 2 beautiful daughters, Ella and Tessa Amidon. Also present tonight is my wife, Sandy, Kyle's past coaches, teammates, friends, and family members. I am honored to present tonight on behalf of Kyle. I was part of Kyle's wrestling career for almost 15 years and have traveled thousands of miles across the Northeast, visiting several high schools, gymnasiums, and colleges. I could share several memorable good moments in our wrestling journey as Kyle's coach. We have had many good moments along with some life learning lessons. Kyle was always dedicated to the sport of wrestling and willing to work and accomplish the goals set in front of him. Kyle accomplishments during his wrestling career surpassed well over 200 wins on youth wrestling and winning and placing several regional and national tournaments. Kyle started his varsity wrestling career in 7th grade at 103 pounds for Canisteo-Greenwood. Kyle quickly realized the transition from youth sports to high school sports, starting his varsity career against a senior from York and not faring too well. Kyle continued the season in a positive direction, landing the #1 seed in the Section V class tournament, beating the #2 seed twice that season. At the Sectional class tournament, he got the rookie jitters and did not fare too well, losing in the semifinals and again in the consolation round. This would be the last time he would lose in a Section class tournament, landing him with 5 consecutive Section V class championships and the Most Outstanding Wrestler Award in 2006. On top of the accomplishments that Kyle earned, an overall varsity wrestling record of 199-45. Kyle placed 5th at the New York State Tournament in 2006, was the champion of the Section V Super Sectional Tournament in 2006, runner-up of the Section V Super Sectional Tournament in 2005, and was a semi-finalist in the Section V Super Sectional Tournament in 2004. Kyle won several local tournaments throughout his career. Out of his 199 career wins, Kyle was able to pin 109 of his opponents. Kyle was a 6-time Steuben-Allegheny County All-Star. Kyle did not only show dedication and deserve to the Canisteo-Greenwood wrestling, but also showed a good sportsmanship on and off the mat. Kyle earned both the Section V wrestling and football sportsmanship awards. After high school, Kyle continued his wrestling career at the Alfred State College and recorded a national record with a 4.8 second pin. After sustaining a knee injury, Kyle decided to step back from wrestling to focus on his schooling and his career, but would continue being part of the Section V by wrestling for 2 years in Section V until moving to Buffalo to finish his education. Kyle is currently has big ties in his hometown of Canisteo, as he now is our police chief for our community. Kyle still attends varsity wrestling matches and tournaments and follows our wrestlers year to year when available. Kyle is a positive role model and leader and is a very dedicated person in anything he does, and will always make sure he accomplishes his tasks and goals that are put in front of him. So I am honored to present inductee Kyle C. Amidon into the Section V Hall of Fame.
Thank you, guys. Good evening, all. I'm honored to be here tonight as one of the newest members of the Section V Wrestling Hall of Fame. I never thought in my lifetime I'd be nominated and selected to be part with these outstanding members. There are numerous superior wrestlers, coaches, and officials over the decades in Section V that deserve to be standing where I am tonight. And as a committee member, it must be very difficult to choose only a select few each year. Congratulations to Ian, Troy, Dave, Lou, and Carm on tonight as well. What a great honor for us all. Section V Wrestling over the years has produced several elite wrestlers, inspiring coaches, and dedicated officials that very few other areas can say. I have always been honored to say I was part of Section V Wrestling from a wrestler to a referee and continue to show my support and pride to this sport and our Section V Wrestling family. First and foremost, I want to thank my lifelong coach, mentor, and friend Mickey Woodworth for introducing me tonight. Mickey has been part of my life since I was the age of 5. We have had some very unforgettable moments over the years on and off the mat, from the best to the worst. Next, I want to thank all my family, friends, and coaches that attended the ceremony tonight to celebrate with me and the rest of the 2022 inductees. I want to thank the Red Fedele's Brook House and their staff for providing us with all this food and this venue for tonight's occasion. I want to thank the Friends of Section V Wrestling Committee and those who helped put this together tonight and continue to do it each and every year. Wrestling has always been a passion of mine, competing for over 15 years from the youth to the collegiate level. I may have not won every match and been a state champion, but I have learned so much more from the sport of wrestling, including self-discipline, the value of hard work, the importance of goals, sportsmanship, and a true definition of family. Throughout the years of wrestling, I was taught to always give 110% with no other option. This was always pushed on us wrestlers from our devoted coaches we had. I learned to never give up and fight to the end with a warrior mindset. Goals were always set, and we would strive to achieve them each and every year. I would prepare myself for each and every match, physically and mentally, telling myself over and over the same words: take down, half pin, take down, half pin, while trying to get into my opponent's head. As competitive as a wrestling match may be, and no matter the outcome, I always showed good sportsmanship on and off the mat and showed encouragement toward my opponents. But the most important principle I took away from the sport of wrestling was the true definition of a family. Wrestling is a unique sport that ties friendships, builds character, and brings people together to share memories, common interests, and lifelong lessons. You get to learn how to be a team and a teammate, along with self-motivation and a desire to win. Tonight we gather as a giant wrestling family to share stories, reminisce our past, and meet new people and build ties to one another. I have developed many memories with my wrestling family over the years, and with several of you in this room in some way. For those new inductees here tonight, Ian Paddock, I wrestled with you and your brother Paul over my youth and high school years, and remember Team 10 wrestling and the members writing the Roman numeral 10 with markers all over their body. Your brother Paul was one of my first ever Greco-Roman matches, and he absolutely destroyed me. Phil Lombardo, I remember wrestling against you on youth and in high school together and being teammates in the 2006 state team, and having your dad Lou teach me a few things at state practices. I believe your youth team name at one time was Baker Boys, if I'm not mistaken. Troy Forte, you probably don't know me, and you did not know this, but when I was on youth, you were one of my role models, and I always wanted to follow your footsteps as a wrestler. I remember having mock varsity wrestling matches against my brother in the living rooms many times, and me always imitating Troy Forte, who I idolized. Carm, I am familiar with the Oliveira family, as I was honored to be the recipient of the 2006 Deborah G. Oliveira Scholarship Athlete Wrestling Scholarship. Thank you and your family for giving back to the wrestling community. And as far as official Dave Grazul, You have refereed several of my matches in the past, and I have a good memory of one of the matches you screwed me out of a win. Just kidding. These principles have carried over into my personal life and career. As Mickey stated in his speech, I am currently the police chief of my hometown. I also am the police chief of another department neighboring our hometown. I'm the assistant director and defensive tactics instructor of the Alfred State Police Academy, along with being associated with several different groups and organizations throughout law enforcement across Western New York. Running a police department is a challenge every day, especially during this present time. I am responsible for the safety, protection, services, and liability for over 15 employees and over 3,200 residents. I continue to set goals and work hard day in and day out to give back to my communities and the people I serve. Without the support and the friendships built, I would not be able to accomplish the goals set forward. I revert back to wrestling a lot while on the job and the principles I've learned. I have hired several great employees over the past decade who have had wrestling backgrounds and have learned the same principles of wrestling as well and carried them into their career. Wrestlers seem to show compassion toward others, are hardworking, and show self-discipline. Wrestlers can stand up for themselves when in need and are positive role models to others. Since 2013 as the police chief, I can proudly say my department has only received 2 personnel complaints from the public, which is astonishing in today's society. We have received several awards and honors for our positive impact toward our community, leadership skills, and the safety of our officers and the service we provide. This shows how my officers treat others and the life lessons they bring forward. My philosophy as a leader to my men and women all stem from what I have learned from wrestling. Most importantly, I have a loving and caring family that support me and are a rock to my achievements. Without my parents, siblings, wife, and loving daughters, I would not have accomplished the success I have throughout the years. These are the ones that keep me in check and always have my back. I cannot do the things I do without the support and encouragement they give me each and every day. I cannot thank my parents, coaches, teammates, friends, and family enough for the experiences and memories I have gained in and around wrestling. Without my parents traveling thousands of miles to tournaments, my brothers sparring with me for hours in the living room at home, my coaches dedicating hundreds of volunteer hours preparing me mentally and physically for this sport, and my friends and family giving me the support and encouragement, I would not have accomplished what I have done. I will continue in life to give back my individual and team skills to this sport and its wrestlers, because this is what we do as Section V wrestlers and as positive role models. Again, I am honored to be selected as a member of the Section V Wrestling Hall of Fame and join my best friend, teammate, and hero, Nicholas F. Clark, along with 166 other wrestling family members. I want to thank everyone again that was part of this tonight. Congratulations again to Ian, Troy, Dave, Lou, and Carm, and their family and friends. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Fred Kemp, who will be presenting Troy Forte. Fred was a longtime coach at Pittsford Central School. He was an assistant at American University and is currently coaching at Alabama. So, Mr. Fred Kemp.
Everybody hear me okay? What? Yeah, what? Yeah, we can count on it. That wasn't you. Oh, yeah, you always deny that. Anyway, welcome everybody. This is so great to see all the folks I haven't seen in a number of years. I have fond memories of Section 5. I moved out here a few years ago for business reasons and family reasons, but it's really good to see everybody again. And many thanks to the Friends of Wrestling and all the people involved. This is great. This doesn't take place in a lot of areas. And so you've got really something special, looking at the wall and seeing all the people recognized is really a good thing. So it's my honor to present Troy Forte for this honor. I've known Troy and his family for many years. I first was brought my attention by Rick Bufoco, his youth football coach, who said, "This kid, you got to grab this kid. This kid is something special." And so I already knew he was something special because his brother was in our program, but it caused me to keep an eye on him. And he not only had physical abilities, but his mental approach and his mindset was just, I've never seen anything like it with a lot of kids. So I said, "Oh, this is really great." So after the football season, I said, "Hey, we have this club, Pittsford Wrestling Club. It's a pretty good club. Why don't you consider coming out?" And so he did, and he was very successful. He basically USA Wrestled me of all the age group competitions and so on, and he was top one, the top three in everything, states, regionals, everything when he did. He was very successful. So then I was coaching with Ernie DiBella, which I'm happy to see after a couple of years. And I said, "Hey, this guy's our varsity candidate for one of the lighter weight classes." And so we worked it out. But in those days, they still have the tests and stuff like that. We have to come 6 feet standing before I jump around. I think I helped measure that one. A little short on that one. But anyway, we got through that, and he became a member of our team, and he was just fantastic. Before I talk about his accomplishments, I just wanted to say something about him in terms of the type of person that he is. His mindset is just incredible, really incredible. And I'm in the business consulting world now, and I do leadership training. And we use, in our training, we use the concept from special forces that they use to train the special forces folks, and it's called cognitive dominance. So everybody's heard of cognitive dissonance, which is a bad thing. Cognitive dominance is basically the ability to make decisions under limited time, limited information, with lots of stress. And so everybody knows in this room, I assume, wrestling kind of is a blueprint for that. It challenges you every day, and it's what makes wrestling special. So Troy is basically, as a competitor and as a person, he basically embolizes what cognitive dominance is all about. So before I want to go into some of his accomplishments, and it's tough for me to be brief. Coach DiBella warned me that he was going to put me in a hammerlock if I took. So anyway, I'll go over his. What I did is I organized his accomplishments as in the dual meet competition, the sectional competition, super sectional states, and then other things that he accomplished after that. Hopefully I can get through it without getting put in a hammerlock by Ernie. So anyway, the Monroe County East Division, it's a pretty tough division. I think there were 10 schools. 10 schools in each division, 20 schools total, and they were some of the best wrestling programs in Section V. So his accomplishments, Monroe County East first team selection for 4 years, 1998 to 2001. He was Monroe County East Wrestler of the Year 2 times in the year 2000 and 2001. The Monroe County Individual Tournament accomplishments, he was a 5-time placer, 3-time champion. He was the 2001 tournament most valuable wrestler. Section 5 Class A, he was a 4-time placer, 4-time finalist, 3-time champion, In 2001, he was selected the most valuable wrestler in the Section V tournament. Super sectionals, 4-time finalist, 3-time champion. The time in the finals that he lost to a gentleman from Mike Borelli. Anyway, Mike Borelli won that. I have to yell. Okay. All right. So the tournament that he came in second, he lost in overtime to last name Borelli from Spencerport in overtime, and Borelli went on to win the state title, and his closest match was 3 or 4 points. So really, that was the quality that we had. Okay. Next. Is that coming through clear now? Or should I just yell?
Yell.
Just yell? Okay,
Yell.
all right. Here we go. So he was a four-time All Greater Rochester first team. So that's a tremendous honor. He was the Section V Wrestler of the Year in 2001. That's all of Section V. He was the Section V. He had the most career wins. As of 2001, he had the most career wins with 236 career wins. And along with that, in 2019, he was inducted into the Pittsford High School Athletic Hall of Fame, which is kind of special because Pittsford had some pretty good football players and basketball players that came out of there. At the state level, he's a 3-time state placer, third, and a champion. And one of the years in the semifinals, you mentioned some calls, so I'm not going to really get into them. And then there was nobody in this room that made the calls, so we could just say that they were, could have gone either way. And so one of the things to show his cognitive dominance, he was an 8th grader at the time. He could have just had a pity party and not done anything, but what he did was he just regrouped and went out and just crushed 2 more opponents to finish third. So that's the kind of individual he was. At the national level, he was a 2-time High School Coaches Association Tournament All-American in 1999 and 2000. He was 2001 Wrestling USA Magazine. He was on their first team All-American. He was a 4-time All-American wrestler. So in Fargo, which, I guess a lot of guys here know what that means. When you get on the podium in Fargo, that's something special. That means that you really had to do a lot of work and preparation to get on the stand 4 times in Fargo. Then he was nationally ranked by USA Wrestling for all of his accomplishments in the state, regional, and national tournaments. So he was ranked from 1999 to 2000. So really a tremendous career. Then he went on and wrestled for SUNY Buffalo for a year. He started as a true freshman at 133 pounds. An injury kind of cut his season short. Then I guess he was talking to my son, and he decided to transfer to West Virginia. So he went on and finished his career at West Virginia. While at West Virginia, he was he wrestled at 125 and 133. In 2003, they won the Western Wrestling League, the Women's Championship. He was a part of that team and had a great career at West Virginia. To show that he was well-rounded, he also was a dean's list at West Virginia and the athletic director's honor roll. And then as a special note, to really, I would say, was what I'm most proud of him is a few years ago he was involved in a serious voting mishap, and suffered some very, very severe injuries, and he was able to come back. There was a lot of parts of his body that were broken up, and he was able to build his body back and build his mind back. So anyway, I'm proud to present Troy Forte.
I'm going to try to go without the microphone here. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. Cool. So thank you, Coach Camp, for all those kind words and kind of running through some of my accomplishments there. I as well would like to congratulate all the other inductees into this year's Hall of Fame. I'm humbled and honored to be inducted into the Section V Hall of Fame. There are many people that contributed to my career, and this induction is not only for me, but it's for all those people who contribute to my success on the mat and don't get recognized. So I'd just like to thank all my teammates, my practice partners, my coaches, my friends, and my family. To think this journey started, Coach Kemp kind of alluded to it, in 4th grade, not on the wrestling mat, but on the Vince Lombardi football field. I was introduced to the Coach Bafoko and some Coach McGrath, who was also the club coach. And then Coach Kemp was in their ear as well, saying that, in order to stay in shape for football, y'all should wrestle. So I kind of, that was kind of my next step. My older brother, Jason, really kind of led the way for us. And that's where we really got to see wrestling for the first time in my life. And from the time that I saw that, I knew that was a sport I needed to be a part of. So I'm a little bit of a better wrestler than I am a public speaker here, so just bear with me. This sport has shaped who I am as a person. It's taught me more life lessons than I could ever imagine. It's allowed me to travel throughout the country and to form bonds with teammates who quickly became my brothers. I was very fortunate to have been coached in high school by 2 coaches that were both able to make a tremendous impact on my career. Coach Kemp has been with me since the first day I started wrestling and throughout the last day at my career in West Virginia. The vast majority of what I know about the sport, I learned from him. From New York to Alabama, North Dakota to West Virginia, and everywhere in between, Coach Kemp was always in my corner. So I thank you, Coach Kemp, for introducing me and teaching me this sport, and for always willing to spend the additional time with me for me to succeed, and to travel with me to be recognized on a national level. Coach DiBella, I thank you for always being the one to look out for me. As big and intimidating as a coach that you were, I saw a different side. You always kept me level-headed and focused on the task at hand. And when we reached those big moments, you kept me sheltered from the noise, taking the pressure off of my shoulders and allowing me to just simply do what I do and to wrestle. To my family, my siblings, Jason, Teresa, and Chris, I am thankful and grateful for each of you. The sacrifice and support from all of you was unmatched. I could always count on you guys to push me, cheer me on, train with me, lead by example, and when I called for it, to keep me in my place. Not only would I not achieve what I did athletically, but I would not be the person I am without you guys. To my parents, thank you. There are no words I can say that truly express what you mean to me and for what you both did to ensure that I had the opportunity to be successful. Converting our basement to a wrestling room, traveling across the country, and allowing a 12-month wrestling season to overtake your life. From the highs and lows, from the highs of highs and the lows of lows, you're always proud and encouraging. But being able to reach such milestones on a mat and being able to celebrate with you each time is what I will always remember. I'm just kind of an ad-lib here. So as some of you have heard, and for those that kind of know me, I was involved in a very serious accident in 2019. Unfortunately, 3 of my friends lost their lives, and then I was in the ICU for about 2 weeks and in the hospital for over a month. I was supposed to be in the hospital for 6 months, and I was able to get out a month and had to learn how to re-walk and all that kind of stuff again. And I really, really attribute that to the sport of wrestling. The mental toughness, the physical condition I was in was probably the best condition I was in my entire life. And so the sport goes way beyond than just the wrestling mat. It's relationships, it's who you are as people. It saved my life. Lastly, to my wife, Tia, and my son, thank you for being here with me today and for being able to share these special moments. Thank you.
is Matt Smith. Matt is one of the top-rated officials in Section 5, earning the Official of the Year award for a number of years in a row. He has been at the State Dual Meet Tournament as an official, the New York State Wrestling Tournament as an official many, many times. This year, he had the pleasure of also not only officiating the state tournament, but watching his son become a place winner in the Division I competition. So, Matt Smith.
Thank you, Frank. So I'm honored to be here this evening to introduce my good friend David Grazul as a member of the Section 5 Wrestling Hall of Fame. Dave began his officiating career in 1978 while a freshman at Bloomsburg University. He moved to Rochester in 1985, began officiating here, and has been an official ever since, 38 consecutive years. He's officiated our Section 5 State Qualifier 33 times. He was selected to officiate the New York State Individual State Tournament 5 times and was one of the top-rated officials at each tournament. In addition, he's been selected to officiate the New York State Dual Meet Tournament, a total of 3 times, including the inaugural event in 2018. Dave has received multiple awards throughout his career for his service and dedication to the sport of wrestling. He received the Leo Burnaby Award in 2000 in recognition of his contributions to the Section 5 Wrestling Officials Association. In 2016, Dave received the Lou Pettinelli Memorial Award from the New York State Wrestling Officials Association for his dedicated service to New York high school wrestling. He was also recognized in 2019 by the Livingston County Athletic Association Hall of Fame as a friend to LCAA wrestling for his contributions. Just as a side note, he's refereed the LCAA tournament 34 consecutive years. So a great contributor to that league and to that group. In addition to his career on the mat as an official, Dave has held almost every elected office possible, both locally and at the state level. He was our Section 5 organization's vice president from 1996 to 1998, and our president from 1998 to 2000. Since then, he's served in our executive council ever since 1996. In 2008, Dave was elected to the vice president position of the New York State Wrestling Officials Association for a 2-year term, and then was elected president in 2010 for another 2 years. During that time, he was instrumental in working with the New York State Public High School Athletic Association to improve the format and the management of the state tournament in Albany. Dave has served as our Rules Interpretation Committee, here in Section 5 for many years, and is currently the Section 5 Rules Interpreter. Dave has this unique ability to take what seems like a complex, complicated rule or wrestling situation and break it down and explain it in a manner that makes it real easy for our officials to understand and then take with them as they go out and officiate. In addition, over the last 2 years, in the midst of everything else that's been going on and trying to get in a wrestling season, Dave implemented something really unique for our group. We're required to have meetings during the year, officials meetings. We meet 9 or 10 times. And Dave has found ways to incorporate video into those meetings. So he'll show up at one of our meetings with 6 or 7 really interesting video clips of current high school wrestling. And we'll go through that as a group, and Dave will kind of break down the proper positioning, the mechanics of the official, and as well as pointing out sort of the correct rules or interpretation. So I think something really unique. I mean, I don't know if there's other officials organizations that actually go to that extreme level to help their officials continuously improve. But all these accomplishments, the awards and the accolades I mentioned, while they are a testament to the exceptional officiating career Dave has had, they really only scratch the surface in what he's contributed here in Section 5. One of his greatest contributions is something that probably it's gone unseen by most wrestlers, coaches, and fans. So just as a show of hands, raise your hand if you've seen a wrestling match in Section 5 in the last 20 years. Right? A lot of hands going up. Well, then you've seen a version of Dave. And whether you realize it or not, you may say, right, it was Steve Burton, or it was Leo Rhodes, or it was Joe Alvarez, it wasn't Dave. Well, believe it or not, you are correct, right? It was one of them, but that's not the end of the story, right? That's really just the beginning. For nearly 3 decades, Dave has been an integral part of the training of every new referee in Section 5. He leads rulebook sessions, and he organizes and runs a mat session in which he explains rules, interpretations, and teaches proper officiating techniques. So for the last 20 years, every referee that has walked into a gym in Section 5 to referee a dual meet or a tournament has been trained and mentored by him. If you watch some of the officials in Section 5, you'll notice that they all have modeled some of their officiating style after Dave, whether it's their mechanics, the way they hustle to get them in the correct position on the mat, or the way they treat coaches and wrestlers. You can see the influence Dave has had. For me personally, so much of what I have done and who I am as a referee is because of Dave. As a young official, I spent many tournaments watching him officiate and learning from him. I was fortunate enough to be partnered with him at the State Qualifier my first few years, and the lessons I learned in those days were invaluable. Dave, you and I have spent hundreds of hours, thousands of miles, driving to and from tournaments over the last 25 years, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you've done for me. I'm truly blessed to have you as a friend. Someday he will hang up his whistle and officiate his last match, but that will not be the end of his contribution in Section 5 wrestling, because officials like John Aponte, Adam Grillo, Dylan Hill, young guys, they're going to officiate for another 20 years. And they're going to carry on those skills that Dave has instilled in them. His impact on wrestling in Section 5 will continue long after he referees his last match. And that is Dave's legacy here. So, inclusion in this Hall of Fame is reserved for those individuals who have made a significant contribution to wrestling. And I can think of no referee who has done more to improve wrestling in Section 5 than Dave Grazul. Congratulations, Dave.
I want to thank the Friends of Wrestling and the Section 5 Committee for giving me this honor. I want to congratulate my fellow inductees for their accomplishments and what they did to receive this honor. Since I started officiating many years ago, as Matt said, I've had the opportunity to officiate a great many matches, with a great many great wrestlers and great teams. In the process of doing that, I had a lot of help along the way. Contrary to what Matt said, a lot of people here have helped me. Right? First and foremost would be my family, my wife Kathy, and our son Michael. I want to thank them for their understanding and their patience to understand why from November to pretty much the end of February, I would spend many nights and almost every Saturday at either a wrestling rules meeting, an executive rules meeting, an executive meeting, a wrestling match, or a wrestling tournament. In the beginning, as Matt said, we started the training sessions. In the beginning, we started training sessions with new officials. We used my son Michael as our practice partner. So my friend Tom Polsnelli and I would use Michael as our practice partner, and I think we ended up putting more illegal holds on him than we did legal holds. I think even today he says his neck still hurts from all the illegal headlocks Leo and John put on him. Okay. To my wife Kathy, I thank her for, in her own way, of letting me know that when I got home from the match was over. I could no longer warn anyone for stalling. I couldn't penalize anyone for an illegal hold. Couldn't call anybody out of bounds. She was now the head official. I was in charge of nothing. I thank her for keeping me grounded and reminding me that there are other things in life besides wrestling. The other person that all referees or all officials, people in this room get to know or get to meet is Frank Murata. Without going into all the awards and accolades that Frank has received over the years, I just want to say that for myself, in all the time that we spent together talking on the phone, in a meeting, traveling to a meeting, from New York State meetings to Albany to Syracuse and back, Not only has it made me a better official, but more importantly, Frank, you have made me a better person. And I thank you for that. To some of my fellow officials, who I've got to know over quite some time, one of the first officials I met when I moved up here was Don DeBoss. It was Don who got me in touch with Frank. When I started, our Monday night meetings were at MCC back then, and back then the meetings were run by Joe Gustanis and Don DeBoss. Since then, I've been lucky enough to work with men like fellow officials Joe Molino, Roscoe Hastings, Mike Dodgels, Steve Delrith, Jim Wild, Jeff DeRitter, Ray McGee, Sam Linsner, and my good friend Tom Pocinelli. And the current officials that I work with, Joe Alvarez, John Apani, Sean Briggs, Leo Rose, Joe Zuniga, Steve Burton, Matt Smith, and Russ Tronwall. I thank all of you, and I thank you especially not only for helping me become a better official, but for the friends that we have become. It means a lot to me. To my fellow inductees, I congratulate you. I congratulate Carm. I congratulate Kyle. And while I don't remember any matches where I misapplied the rule, Kyle, I would say that I was an official at the class sectional tournament in SOTUS. I think it's the only class sectional tournament we ever had in SOTUS when Kyle won one of his class sectional titles. To Troy Forte. I officiated many matches, many Pittsford matches, and many matches of Troy's over the years. But since Fred already let my story out of the bag, and I discussed this with Troy earlier, the best match that Troy ever wrestled, in my opinion, I was the official. And that was the sectional qualifier that he lost. It was a great match. It went into overtime, and it was just an outstanding wrestler by two wrestlers, both wrestlers who went on to become state champions. Okay? I remember being the incoming president of the New York State Wrestling Officials Association. And myself and Fred Brown and a couple other guys were given the unenviable task of assigning in 2008 the 130-pound final match. The 130-pound final in 2008 was between Ian Paddock and some guy named Kyle King. Who knew? I might add, a match that Ian won that night. Lastly, I will always remember officiating matches in Irondequoit and Webster Thomas, with Coach Lou Lombardo in the corner, coaching and doing a great job with his wrestlers. Thank you very much for this honor. Thank you.
Dave, I would have said something. I'm with Kyle over here. Our next presenter, Neil Cook, longtime Webster Thomas coach, and he also serves on the Section V committee with us, and I would consider a good friend. Neil?
Everyone hear me? Everyone good? First of all, congratulations to all the inductees. Quite an honor, and this is, without a doubt, an incredible honor. When Frank asked me to do this, although bittersweet, this is quite an honor. To induct Lou Lombardo into the Section V Hall of Fame. All day I'm sitting there kind of trying to piecemeal a speech together. What can I say about Louie? Louie has probably been a mentor to everybody in this room. And some way or another, you've crossed paths with Lou Lombardo, and he's helped you out. He's done something for you. He's been there for you. For me, we got to coach together. And just to give you, because if you don't laugh, it's real hard. It's from Louie as a coach to a chairman to making sure kids at the state tournament were making weight, sitting there in the morning at the state tournament till the scales closed to make sure everything was done and all the Section V kids were taken care of and doing the right things. To this was a thing he used to do to John and I all the time. Louis would always have this way of being the first there all the time. And John and I would do everything in our power to try to be there before Lou. It wasn't possible. Louis was always there before we were there. It didn't matter what you do. But Louis would also, he would go to work at 3 in the morning and work till 2 in the afternoon so he could make sure he was at practice on time. That's what he did. And he would do this, and he was never one to tell you these things. Those are the kind of things he did, because he never wanted to disappoint anyone. He was always there for you. I remember we had a youth tournament, and there was this overweight young youth kid who was having a tough go. Maybe he went 0-5 on the day. He was crying real hard. Somehow him and Louis connect. Louis ends up going, "What's wrong? Why are you so unhappy?" Louis looks at the kid. They bond. The kid's with Louis all day, running around happy. Louis buys him a t-shirt. That's Lou. He didn't care if you were elite. He didn't care if you were just starting. That was Lou Lombardo. Louis was instrumental in starting the cancer duels. He was instrumental in bringing the beach wrestling to Rochester, New York. All right? I'll wager to say Louis was instrumental in bringing any big event to wrestling in Section 5. He was always there for anyone. I need a tournament director. Lou Lombardo is your guy. He was that guy to be able to do that. He was so ahead of his time as promoting the sport, whether it was from youth wrestling to the highest levels of wrestling. But I think his greatest asset, his greatest thing, was his ability to make any kid, any ability, feel good about themselves. It didn't matter if they were 10-0 or 0-10. He had that ability to connect with kids and make them say, you know what, I am great. I am something. Coach Lombardo could make you feel that way. Any coach, any official could count on, as we call him, Uncle Lou, and come to Louis with a problem for advice, and he'd be there for you. We have a huge picture of Louis in our wrestling room, and I love it, because every day we go in there, and you see looking down on you. And right now, he's probably really upset right now, because he goes, I don't deserve this honor. I shouldn't be the guy getting this. Well, Louis, you do. You do deserve this honor. You're about as selfless a human being as I've ever seen in my life. But we talk about this selfishly as coaches and officials, but no one, and I mean no one, on this earth feels the sting of losing Louis more than his family. Because as good as he was to us, and as well as he did in the wrestling world, he was tenfold that to his family. He would do anything. Anything. Sacrifice anything for his family. That's what he was. I don't think there'll ever be another guy like Lou Lombardo. And I'm happy and blessed that I was able to spend the time we had with him. So, without further ado, I think we could learn a lot from Louis. We got to be more selfless. We got to care. And we just got to try a little harder, and we just can't give up and help everybody out. And I think we'll be in a great spot. A day doesn't go by where I don't think about him and wish I could just call him on the phone and talk with him. And it's tough, but again, as bad as it is for us, imagine the family hurts the worst. And I feel for them because possibly one of the greatest human beings of all time. So let's give it up for Lou Lombardo.
keep it short and sweet. I apologize for my voice. On behalf of my family and myself, we would like to thank Section 5 and the Friends of Wrestling for the honor and the ongoing support that everyone gives. Congratulations to everyone in the crowd. And we look forward to the ongoing honor and the ongoing event that has happened over the years. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Tony Oliveira, and obviously with the Oliveira name, and you know he had to have a wrestling background himself. Tony wrestled for the legendary Art Connerton at Arundel High School. He later competed at the University of Buffalo. Tony?
I guess I'll just talk loud. I guess I want to start this introduction because I've seen a lot of wrestling over the years and how wrestling has changed over the decades. Let's start with this phrase. Remember this. No youth wrestling. In that era and for that guy. No youth wrestling. In the 9th grade, he took up wrestling. He was at Charlotte High School. He made the varsity. There were a lot of pins against him, okay? He had to learn how to not get pinned. He worked real hard. He studied wrestling. A lot of kids then, and even now, don't really study. They learn from their coaches and their competitions. This guy studied. He got books by Sozo Sashihara of Japan, the Olympic champion, and other books that you may have seen floating around the room that he brought from his collection. The next year, 1967, he was city champion in Rochester. That was in the 10th grade. Section 5 runner-up. What a change from the year before. 1968, again city champion, and he was an undefeated sectional champion, ranked number 1 in the state. And back then, we didn't have arm drag, so he went to Worldwide News, where he could get newspaper from other cities, and a lot of the downstate cities, starting in Syracuse and further down southeast, actually ranked wrestlers that they knew of in the state. And because of his record in 68, he was ranked number 1 in the state. He did win what we now call the super sectionals, and back then there was basically 80 teams or so eligible for the sectional championship. There was no A, B, C, or D. You had one tournament and an A and a B wrestle off, and then one person who goes to the state tournament. He did go to the state tournament, but did not do so well at that tournament. In 1969, his senior year, he had won his third consecutive city championship. And as some of the old timers know, very few people did that back then. And if you're wondering what happened to the city, why was it so dominant back then in winning half or more of the sectional championships, it's just like what happened all across the country. People from the city moved to the suburbs and to the rural areas, and that's why now we have pretty much a dominance of suburban and rural wrestlers. He was again undefeated that year, okay? And I think what happened is he relaxed a bit and was upset in the finals of the super sectionals. Did not make the return trip to the state tournament. One thing I'll say is, it was fun watching this guy. And it was hard for me, being the youngest brother of 4, I had to follow this guy. And people have asked me, sometimes people don't always ask that, but sometimes they do, well, who was the best athlete? Who was the best of you guys? this guy was the most gifted. I'll hand him that. Okay, I had to work hard just to try to do what he could do, and it was fun watching him. And some of you old timers did get to watch him. The guy was smooth. Okay, he was fun to watch. He just didn't go for the win. He wanted to be, as Ali, he wanted to be pretty out there, and he was. Okay, it was all about technique. So that ended his high school career. And because of the record that I just mentioned, he actually was Amateur Wrestling News and All-American, based on his record, Amateur Wrestling News All-American. Later that year, he participated in the national AAUs at the senior division, not the high school division. His college career, he was the first freshman ever to make the varsity at RIT Wrestling, and again, the first freshman to win the RIT Christmas tournament. In the finals, beating a Division I wrestler. 77 through 75, he was assistant to Earl Fuller at RIT. Back up a year in 1972, he won the regional Olympic trials and went to the final Olympic trials. And he and I both went to the 76 Olympic training camp. By that time, as most of us know, or most of us experience, tough to get down to that lower weight class again. Might have been different if he had more training partners, which again, after everything I said, there was no youth wrestling for this guy, okay? He started in the 9th grade, and that's what he's accomplished. And so I'm very proud to introduce my brother, Carmelo Oliveira.
You're gonna get the picture. There you go. Don't go nowhere.
Don't talk more. Hello?
Stand up.
Oh, there you go.
Lose weight. First and foremost, I want to thank the members of the Academy. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not going to slap anybody. So all right. Realistically, I'm grateful for this honor. I'm grateful to all of you for being here because this is a wrestling family. I don't think there's any sport that is as close or as intertwined as wrestlers and their family, their children, even on the phone.
Can't hear you.
That's my wife giving me rules again. So anyhow, as I was saying, I want to thank Frank Murata, really, who's done so much for this sport. He really, really has. I mean, that's extremely important to me and to all of you and all of Section 5. And Red Fedele, who's given us this venue to be able to participate, enjoy, and reminisce, and let the younger people see what can happen with goodness and with wrestling combined, which is kind of true. And of course, I have to thank my wife, who's been behind me. I didn't start losing matches until I got married, but anyhow, in my family, my brothers, sisters, my sons, who have been good to me all these years, the wrestling family, my family, and my close friends who are here. It's like the definition between family and friends kind of melts together because we're so close in so many ways. And that transcends into wrestling. I mean, a wrestler, for me, explicitly, I always want to give back because what I know, what I've learned, are people who taught me. One of the more outstanding figures in my lifetime as far as a person and a teacher was Earl Fuller, who I will always remember. And, you know, the life of those who are gone continues in the memory of those that are living.
And as they mentioned before, I brought all of my books in that had to do with wrestling. Some are already gone, of course, because I want to give back. I can't use these anymore. I can't read anymore. No. But in other words, I wish I could open this up, like I wanted to open up Earl Fuller's head and learn from him and record everything. And I did. I studied wrestling because, in 9th grade, I nearly went blind because, look at the light so much. But, I became possessed. I became possessed, and one of the most important things that I have to say about those helping me and teaching me the skills, the discipline, and wrestling transcends into your life. Everything that you think you can't accomplish, you will. Because if you can suck weight and still work out and still battle a guy, it says a lot about what you can do with this brain. And when you're sucking weight and you're looking at TV and you see a Betty Crocker commercial and you're thinking about the cake and not Betty Crocker, that's a serious problem. And I have to tell you this, I've used this a lot. In high school, never mind Betty Crocker. In high school, I had a personal trainer. The huge thing that most people don't have. My brothers didn't even know I had one. It was my mother. Because when I got home at 7 o'clock, whatever time it was at night from wrestling practice, take a bus, I had to eat. My mother said, Mon, Jesus Christ, And I'd eat, and then about 8:30, 9 o'clock, homework was something that was boring. So I had to go out and run to, get back down where I should be. So consequently, I was always in tremendous shape. I mean, I could wrestle 10 minutes, whatever it took. And my idea in wrestling was always to pin the guy. You shake hands, you're supposed to pin him. Never hurt anybody. I don't have cauliflower ears because I learned the skills from my brothers and from Earl Fuller to use the skills. Deceit. Look over there, I go this way. And one of the most, of all those who have helped me, especially Earl Fuller, someone who didn't teach me much of wrestling, but he took me around after 9th grade to tournaments to get my Canisteo kicked. Canisteo means, what I'm talking about. And to learn wrestling so that I wrestled in tournaments and wrestled in tournaments and wrestled in tournaments here and there. He took time away from his family, sons and his daughters, to help me get better. My brother Joe. More than anything else. It's something that's never really recognized. The driver, the pusher. Especially when you go out to wrestle a guy and you look across the mat and the guy looks like, oh, Moses, he must be 3 weight classes up. Give him all you got. Joe, you give him I'm not going to be long-winded because everybody said the most important aspects. But the idea is that we're a family and we have to give back, in my opinion. And I wish I could teach wrestling 8 hours a day. It would be fun. And I've always said that if I became a millionaire, I'd open up a venue for wrestling. Come and wrestle. Just cut your nails and take a shower. Refs can appreciate that. But I want to thank everybody who's here, even Arthur Jones. Carter Street, many, many years ago, he came to learn. I shook hands with him, and my hand disappeared. Arthur, you're going to be an ankle picker. His arms are so long, I taught him how to pick ankles, something like that. Anyhow, I want to thank everyone again. Let me check the notes in case I missed anything. Of course, congratulations to all the inductees. I know some of you guys paid to get put in, but it's okay. Don't worry. Anyway. One thing I want to say, one last point I want to make, and I've gone to different places, different schools, even different countries with wrestling, and teaching tools that a lot of coaches can use. I'm sure there's wrestlers here, but plenty of coaches here. And I've always said this, the idea is to shake hands and pin the guy. And some of the matches that I didn't pin the guys in high school was because I kept trying to pin them, but it ended up 17-1 or something. They would get an escape. I was trying to pin him, but the guy didn't have flat shoulders, so you couldn't pin him. But a key thing, and Tony mentioned that when I lost in the state tournament as a junior, I was pretty much better than the competition, except that in the quarterfinals, everybody knows a crab ride, right? I got a guy in a crab ride, and the referee goes, 2, reversal. So it was a you know, as a junior in high school, I panicked. I let him go. Guy turns over and he gets 2 more for back points. Turn over again. 30 seconds left, and this is a true story. My brother Joe can attest to that. And I ended up losing the match 8-7. How he got writing time is impossible. But 2 years later at the Niagara District AAU tournament, I find out that this kid Campbell from Suffolk, New York, the referee was his uncle from Buffalo. No one knew that at the time. And I let up. That was the biggest problem. My fault was I let up on him because I was cruising. Outside of that, teaching point for all the coaches in here. You ask a kid, and I've done this at the college level too, in a wrestling room. Okay, so there's you and the mat and your opponent. Who's the third guy? The referee. And I say, who is that referee? The question is that. Who's the referee? And I put it like this, sink it right in the middle of the head. The referee is your opponent's father. Therefore, what do you got to do? Keep going till the final second. You must pin him. Otherwise, the guy's going to take away from you, like happened to me. But again, thank you all for a wonderful evening, and Frank, Red, Fedele, where the hell's Red? And all of you for being One very important thing I don't want to leave out. Let's all hope and pray for Ukraine.
Our last presenter, one of the architects of the great Warsaw Dynasty, and boy, were they a dynasty, still doing well. Currently the high school principal at Franklinville, Bob Hirsch.
Bill said, I always have a smile on my face, and that's right. I'm so darn excited to be here, to be back in Section 5, to be wearing purple in Section 5. I just want to clear out the tables right now, get a match going right now. I would love to hear Leo Rhodes yell, 2 right now. That would fire me right up. But I appreciate being here. I love Section 5. It's a great family. You guys talk about family, it truly is. I get to honor one of the members of a great family I got to meet when I first went to Warsaw, so that's cool. When I found out that I got to speak on Ian's behalf, I had to reach out to one of my favorite statisticians, Ian's mother, and say, all right, I know I got to bring some stats here. What do you got? So I went through and filtered through a few of the things like 1,000 victories in the living room on the mat, and I had to go through a 2-time hair growing championship in the family, and they're a super competitive family. Just great people, all the brothers and stuff. 8-time Warsaw Youth Championship of the world. I wanted to incorporate those, but some other stats that I got, some real ones that is. Ian accumulated 268 wins and 7 losses. The majority of these wins are by pin or tech fall. One of them over Kyle Dake in the finals. It was a great match. I remember yelling Cradle, and that was a great move. Ian was incredibly instinctive. He was, I think, the first time, and Sam, you'll have to help me out with this one. I know he was the first time, 6-time ever LCAA county champion. Is there any other 6-time? Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of too, but I did not want to get in trouble or sued for giving out false or fake news, right? So I want to make sure that was right. Yes. Next, he was a 6-time class sectional champion. He was a 6-time super sectional finalist. He was a 5-time super sectional champion. He was a 3-time New York State champion. He's a 5-time New York State top 3 finisher. He was a New York State most outstanding wrestler. On the national level, he was a sophomore national champion, a junior national All-American, senior national runner-up, and he was a Dream Team Classic representative on the dual meet team. He represented New York State in Oklahoma. In Fargo, right, for freestyle Greco, Roman wrestler, and John Leone told me that when you go to some of these big tournaments, you meet a couple of real tough dudes, but when you go to Fargo, everybody's a tough dude. And so that's where it is. Fargo, he was New York State Freestyle Greco Cadet and Junior Champion. Each year he competed in both styles. He was an 8-time National Freestyle Greco All-American at Fargo and an 8-time National Duels Freestyle Greco All-American Tournament team. He also received a full scholarship to Ohio State University, where he was the captain for 3 years, correct? Okay, good. And to be a captain of a college team or any team, that means you possess great leadership. The stats I've always leaned on Ian's mom for, but I want to talk about some of the things that I remember most from Ian. He always placed the team, his family above himself. He always chased the hardest competition. Make it weight. I remember one match, Ian would make weight, which was the lowest weight, right? But he would wait for weigh-ins. He didn't weigh in the morning, but he would have 2 bottles of water to see what the competition was going to go in case he had to quickly drink the bottles of water so he could make the top miss weight there to make weight for the next weight class, to bump up to the next weight class and take on the toughest competition. That's what kind of teammate Ian was, holding the weight all day long. And Coach Roy said that win was for you. That was against Leroy, but Bob Gately's not here so I can mention it. All right, that was really important that he beat Leroy. He led us to a victory over Leroy, first time in 30 years. And if you guys know Leroy, that's a feather in your cap. What a great team and a great coach Bob was. It still is. He would come to my classroom and strategize and say, hey, Coach, what do you think about this lineup? What do you think about this guy? And I'm trying to teach social studies. Hopefully I did a good job there. But we would always strategize, and he would say, I think if I wrestle this person, we could win. And although we built a good team that I'm proud of, there was steps to be there, and Ian was definitely a cornerstone in building that team. He would wait till his first state championship. Although I could not tell you who he beat in the finals, but what I can tell you what stood out to me most is he would not celebrate. He did not celebrate until he knew his older brother also won his match, so they could both be state champions together. His heart and his character has made him an amazing athlete, an amazing son, an amazing husband, right? And a great father to 2 kids. I love the sacrifice. I am proud that I coach such a great technician, a man of character. I'm even more proud to call him my friend. I present to you Ian Paddock.
Don't worry, they saved the shortest speech for last, so I'll get you guys home quick. Thank you, Hirsch, for that introduction. Thank you, Mom, for the stats. And trust me, we did have to edit out a lot. We added quite a few in there that I was So I want to start by saying thank you to everyone with Friends of Wrestling for making this possible, everyone here tonight, for coming out. Such a great honor to be inducted with everyone here and all the past inductees as well. Also, congratulations to the inductees today. Thank you. I already kind of said that. Sorry, she told me to stand script. My wife told me to stand script. Not really sure how you get inducted into this. I'm pretty sure my mom inducted me, but if she didn't, thank you to whoever did. I wouldn't be standing here without the help of a long list of people. I'd like to mention a few, starting with my dad. Many of you knew my dad. He passed away a couple years ago, but he was not only very integral in my career, but a lot of people in Section 5 and New York State Wrestling in general, and probably beyond that. I know we were saying some people didn't get youth wrestling or some of the opportunities. I probably had more opportunities than most of the kids in the country. I mean, from a young age, my family took me anywhere and did everything from building a wrestling room, paying people to come coach us, bringing people in, creating a family for that. So I was blessed with opportunities that, I hope to be able to give to my kids and other kids someday. So thank you to my dad and my family. My high school coaches, I didn't invite anyone, I only invited my mom here, and I have a full table here, so that's pretty impressive. Coach Hirsch, Coach Royce, there wasn't really many people that could keep up with me in high school, so Coach Royce, even though he's a little older, he would have to get on the mat with me, and he would cheat no matter what to win. Even though I was a 96-pounder and he was a coach, if I was reversing him, he would grab an ankle or give me a Charlie horse or something like that to make sure he didn't give up the points. So thank you for that. D. Google is not here. I'm sure a lot of you guys know the name D. Google and Charlie Voorhees. They were very big in my wrestling, starting high school and past then. So I'd just like to give a special thanks to them. And of course, the list would go on, and I don't have enough time to do that. So just thank you to everyone that was part of my career. Wrestling has always been a big, important part of my life. I look forward to continuing to be able to give back to the sport that has given me so much. Like I said, I have a family now. I have a 2-year-old son, a daughter, and hoping to have a couple more and start being able to give my kids the opportunities that I had and grow up and So thank you to everyone again. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Before we leave, I want to remind all the inductees to come up here as fast as you can so we can take a group picture. Okay? We have one more announcement. Jim Sauber.
Excuse me. Every year, Friends of Wrestling has a fundraiser, and our annual fundraiser is a golf tournament held in July. If you look on your table, you're liable to find a flyer that's folded up there looking for whole sponsors and/or teams to play in the tournament. If they are not there, I left some on the table back there where the coffee is on your way out. Every year, we give all of our money that we make back to the kids in Section 5. This year we bought T-shirts for the class winners. We helped the kids go to the States with the finances to get their duffel bag and singlet and so on. We sponsor the Hall of Fame. So anything you can do to help us year to year would be great. If you can't play golf, understood. Whole sponsors are a big thing. So if you have a business, whatever, we can use your help. So thank you very much, and again, congratulations to all the inductees.
Thank all for coming. Have a safe trip. Inductees up here. David, I got you.